The oil on my hands hadn't dried when I walked in and saw a man I'd never seen before sipping whiskey at my dining table. He had that lean, polished look, like he'd never turned a wrench or worked a day under the sun. My wife stood behind him, calm, cold, dressed in something I didn't recognize. "You're early," she said, as if I'd just ruined their dinner plans. The man tilted his glass and smirked. "You might want to sit down, Cole. This conversation's going to sting." I didn't sit. I didn't speak. Because some betrayals aren't revealed. They're performed. When you work in a boatyard, timing is everything: tides, storms, torque specs, deadlines. That day, my client's boat came in early with a busted prop shaft. I wrapped the job 2 hours ahead of schedule. I should have grabbed a burger and killed time before heading home. I almost did, but I didn't. I drove straight back to the house, boots still muddy, mine still halfway on a strip bolt I'd fought with all morning. Pulled into the gravel driveway. Saw a silver Audi I didn't recognize parked under our live oak. I figured maybe Marina had a client over. She's a real estate agent, flashy cars come with the territory. But when I stepped inside and smelled the whiskey before I even saw the glass, my stomach tightened. He was already seated at the table, like he belonged there. Wearing a navy dress shirt, unbuttoned just enough to be intentional. Rolex glinting. That fake casual posture money people practice. One ankle on the opposite knee. Grinning like the house came with her. Marina stood behind him, arms folded, in a pale blue dress I'd never seen. Her hair up. No greeting. No explanation. "You're early," she said. Not a single word about the stranger in our home. My eyes didn't leave him. "Who the hell are you?" He raised his glass. "Jace Hollowell. I'm the man your wife should have married." I wish I could say I hit him, that I threw him through the window or tackled him across the table. That would have been easy. What I did was worse. I laughed, because at first, I thought it was a joke. Some weird, tone-deaf prank. Maybe a client of hers, too many sales gone to his head. But then Marina stepped forward. "He's not joking, Cole." Her voice didn't shake. She looked tired, not scared. "Just done." "We're done," she added. "I'm moving out this week." I blinked. The words didn't compute. "You're what?" Jace leaned back. She stayed longer than she should have. Out of pity, I think. Out of nostalgia. That was when I finally moved. One step toward him. His grin didn't budge. "Easy, grease monkey," he said, lifting his hands. "There's no need for that kind of drama. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to collect." I turned to Marina. "Collect what?" She met my eyes for the first time, and something cracked inside me when she said it. "The properties," she said. "We've been liquidating. The duplex. The corner lot. Jace helped me set up an LLC." I stared at her like she'd started speaking Mandarin. "The what?" I asked, my voice a rasp. She looked annoyed now, like I was being unreasonable. "The LLC," she repeated. "We moved assets. It's all legal. I needed financial independence, Cole. I needed to breathe. I should have walked out right then. Should have let them have their little soap opera. But I couldn't." "Is this about money?" I asked. "Because every damn thing I've earned, every job, every boat, every flipping rental we bought, I did it for us. For our future." She flinched, just barely. "Your future," she corrected. "I was just along for the ride." Jace cut in, swirling his drink like we were in some Wall Street boardroom. "You built a nice little empire, Cole, but you never noticed your queen slipping out the side door. That was it." I stepped forward so fast his chair skidded back. The glass hit the floor, shattering. He stood up too, hands ready, but he was all show. My hands were grease-stained and calloused. His were manicured. Marina got between us. "Stop," she said. "You hit him, and you lose everything. There are cameras, Cole." I looked toward the hallway. Sure enough, our own damn security cam blinking red. I'd installed it to keep her safe, and now it was keeping him safe. I turned, walked to the sink, ran water over my hands just to feel something. "You're leaving me for this?" I said quietly. "A man who looks like he pays someone to tie his shoes?" She didn't laugh. "I'm leaving you," she said, "because I haven't felt like a woman in years. Jace makes me feel seen. You make me feel managed." That landed like a slap. Every late night, every missed dinner, every extra shift I took so she could chase her brokerage dreams. All of it twisted into a weapon. "You used me," I whispered. She scoffed. "I outgrew you." That night, I didn't sleep. I walked the seawall until my feet ached. Every memory I passed felt poisoned. The first bar we kissed outside of. The pier where I proposed. All infected now. The next morning, I made one call. A buddy of mine, Reed, used to run recon for a private maritime security firm. He now did low-key PI work for people who didn't want things traced. Can you tell someone? I asked. Who? My wife. What he found over the next few days broke me all over again. Late-night meetups at motels I didn't recognize. Marina and outfits I'd never seen. Receipts from restaurants we used to call ours. The kicker? The LLC. It was real. And Jace was listed as the manager. They weren't just having an affair. They were transferring wealth. Properties I'd worked for. Homes I'd refurbished with my bare hands. Being flipped or refinanced under new titles. This is bigger than infidelity, Reed said. This is a financial ambush. He handed me a flash drive. You're not gonna like what's on here. That night, I poured a whiskey of my own. Sat down at the kitchen table, the one where that man sat like he owned it. And I watched. Photos. Documents. Audio. Jace saying, we get the titles in. I cash out in Q3. She gets a condo in Austin. I get the rest. She thinks we're moving in together cute, right? I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I planned. Some people call it heartbreak. I call it reconnaissance. While Marina played dress-up with a man who'd never scraped his knuckles for anything, I was 10 steps ahead and catching up fast. Because this wasn't just infidelity. It was fraud, forgery, and a slow-motion theft of everything I built with blood, bone, and borrowed time. If you've never stared at photos of your wife in another man's arms while sipping from the same mug she once bought you for your birthday, you don't know what real cognitive dissonance feels like. Reed's flash drive held over 40 images, 3 hours of audio, and a PDF summary that might as well have been a knife dragged across my throat. Hotel timestamps. Transfer documents. Even a few selfies she'd sent to Jace, none too revealing, but intimate enough that I couldn't stomach the sight of her handwriting anymore. The photos weren't even the worst part. It was the language. In a recording dated 2 weeks before, Jace told Marina, once that waterfront rental flips, we cash out. You get your new place in Austin. I go back to the Bay with a clean slate. Either way, your boy Cole's not in the picture. She laughed. Not nervously. Not regretfully. With joy. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. That's what people who still believe in reconciliation do. I didn't want apologies. I wanted leverage. So I sat down with Rachel Stroud, a corporate attorney I'd used once during a zoning dispute on the old duplex. Razor sharp, cold as a galvanized nail. Tell me everything, she said, sliding her glasses down her nose. By the time I was done, she'd already drafted a cease transfer motion and placed emergency injunctions on every jointly owned property in our name. I signed without blinking. You understand this'll trigger alarms, she said. She'll know you're not playing nice. I nodded. Let her know. Rachel smiled. Good. I like men who stop being polite. 3 nights later, I spotted it, the perfect place to make my move. Galveston's annual Coastal Renewal Gala was a black tie fundraiser hosted by one of our mutual friends, a preservationist named Fallon Quinn. Marina had RSVP'd months ago, bragging about it being the who's who of Gulf Coast real estate. Politicians, investors, developers, influencers. And she was still going. Not only that, she was bringing Jace, a man with a trail of forged LLC documents behind him, attending a gala funded by old money and reputation. God bless the blind arrogance of people who think charisma can outpace truth. I called Reed. You said you could trace signatures? He grunted. Sure. Need a sample. I've got 3. One's hers. 2 are forged. I need to prove Jace signed them. And I want it airtight. He whistled low. You're not going for divorce, are you? I shook my head, even though he couldn't see it. I'm going for demolition. That week was a blur of movement. Rachel dug through every deed and refi doc Marina had touched in the last 6 months. Reed quietly recorded 2 in-person meetings between Marina and Jace, one in a beachside cafe, the other in a hotel parking lot. In the second clip, Marina handed him a sealed envelope. He didn't check the contents, just nodded and stuffed it in his glove compartment. On the audio? Jace, this is the last one. After this, we vanish clean. Marina, think he suspects? Jace, not a chance. Guys like him don't ask questions. They just work until there's nothing left. He was wrong. Dead wrong. I wasn't invited. But Fallon owed me a favor. I arrived in a tailored charcoal suit, the first time I'd worn anything more formal than church clothes in years. Clean shave. Tamed hair. A thumb drive in my inner pocket. The plan was simple. Walk in at the height of the night, right after dinner, but before the auction. when eyes were sharp and attention was peaking. Fallon introduced me subtly to the event manager, who ran the A/V setup. I handed him a USB and a cue card. Play this when I signal. 10 seconds of silence. Then roll the tape. He gave me a curious look but nodded. All right. I walked through the ballroom like a ghost who built the place. Jace was holding court by the champagne fountain, Marina tucked under his arm in a silk black gown I didn't recognize. They laughed with a circle of buyers and socialites, playing the perfect power couple. They didn't see me until I stepped onto the stage. Fallon killed the music. A ripple of confusion passed through the room. I held the mic loosely, like I barely wanted to touch it. Sorry to interrupt, I said, keeping my voice level. But before we start tonight's auction, I thought I'd share something special. I turned to the A/V guy. Now, 10 seconds. Photos. Of them in hotel rooms. Her in his lap. Then audio. Marina's voice. He's clueless. Cole thinks I'm still showing rentals. Jace. Doesn't matter. The papers are signed. We're good. Another voice, me, off camera, narrating quietly. This is what betrayal sounds like. This is what fraud looks like. And this? This is how I take my power back. The video ended with an image of the final forged document, with Jace's signature circled in red. Silence. Then whispers. Then movement. Jace turned red, then pale. Marina looked like she'd been hit by a truck. I dropped the mic, literally, and walked off stage. The fallout was immediate. People walked away from them mid-conversation. Marina tried to follow me through the side corridor, but Fallon blocked her. She's not invited anymore, she told security. Rachel called me an hour later. You just torched her reputation in real time. Bravo. I drove home with the windows down. Wind in my face. Heart pounding, but steady. Controlled. For the first time in months, I felt like the man I used to be. But I wasn't done. Because the next move was legal. And it was going to bury them both. After the gala, they scattered like rats in daylight. Marina stopped showing up at open houses. Jace scrubbed his socials and disappeared off the grid. But I wasn't celebrating. Not yet. Because there was still something off. Something bigger. Like a pressure in the air before a storm. The public humiliation? That was just the warm-up. What I was about to uncover would turn a messy affair into a federal crime scene. Let's talk about the house. The one I didn't know I owned. The video from the gala went viral. Not publicly, Rachel made sure of that. But in our world, the circles that mattered, it spread like wildfire. Title agents. Local developers. Marina's entire real estate firm. The fallout came fast. Her boss? Suspended her license, pending internal review. Jace? Vanished. Phone disconnected. Email bounced. No one had seen him in days. Good riddance. But here's the thing about men like Jace Hollowell. They don't run unless there's a reason. A big one. And Rachel was the one who found it. She called me 2 days after the gala. Cole, she said, do you recognize this address? She read it out, a modest home in South Galveston. I shook my head. Never heard of it. Well, she said, tapping something on her keyboard. You bought it. Cash. 2 weeks ago. My chest went tight. What? She emailed the document. Sure enough, there was my signature. My full name. My driver's license number. A notary stamp. I didn't sign it. I hadn't even heard of the place. That's when it hit me. He wasn't just using Marina to siphon our properties. He was using me. I drove to the house myself. Beat up white siding. Empty flower pots. A lockbox on the door. A young couple was waiting outside, clutching paperwork. You here for the final walkthrough? The woman asked. I played dumb. You buying this place? She smiled nervously. Yeah, from a guy named Jace. He said he was your broker. My stomach dropped. You haven't signed anything final, right? No, she said. Closing's tomorrow. I gave them my card. Don't sign a thing. Then I walked around to the back of the house and punched the siding so hard my knuckles bled. Jace had created a fake entity using my name. Forged my ID, then laundered the property through a dummy LLC registered out of Corpus Christi. Marina hadn't known. She was too busy playing housewife to a con man to notice he'd leveled up. Rachel's team sent everything to the Galveston County DA. And just like that, it wasn't a marital dispute anymore. It was criminal. The call came early. I hadn't even had coffee yet. This is Agent Bryant with the Financial Crimes Division. We've received a case file from a local attorney, Rachel Stroud? Yeah, I said, groggily. We need you in Houston. In person. Today. The office was exactly what you'd imagine. Cold glass, steel desks, a lot of quiet movement. I sat under fluorescent lights for 3 hours while they went over every forged document, every property transfer, every bank signature that didn't match my handwriting. We've had eyes on Hollowell before, Bryant finally said. He's been involved in shell real estate operations along the Gulf since 18. Never enough to pin him. He clicked a monitor. But you? You might have just handed us a silver bullet. He turned the screen. There was Jace, younger, beardless, in a mugshot from Atlanta. Alias, Jonah Keller. Charges, wire fraud, dismissed. I leaned forward. You catch him? We will, Bryant said. Eventually. He stood. Until then, Mr. Branner, don't go anywhere. She showed up at my dock shop 2 nights later. Alone. Soaked from the storm rolling in. No umbrella. No makeup. Just mascara bleeding down her cheeks and a cardigan that hung off her like a loose thread. Cole, she whispered. He's gone. I didn't offer her a towel. He took everything, she said. My laptop. My account access. Even my car's title. I don't know where he went. I stayed silent. Then she played her last card. I think I'm pregnant. You ever hear a diesel engine backfire in a sealed metal shed? That was my brain when she said it. I stared at her for a full 10 seconds before I found words. You think? She looked away. I haven't tested. But I'm late. And I thought you should know. I crossed my arms. Because you think I'd be what, moved? Softened. Saved. I don't want your money, she said quickly. I didn't know where else to go. You should have gone to him, I said. Her eyes filled. But I saw it. The same manipulation that danced behind every tear she'd cried since this all began. Not grief. Not guilt. Survival. I'll help if it's mine, I said flatly. But I'm not coming back. She left without another word. But something inside me stayed cold. Not angry. Not broken. Just done. They say every man has a breaking point. Mine wasn't the cheating. It wasn't the betrayal. It wasn't even watching the woman I loved burn my life down from the inside. My breaking point came in a storm, with 5 words I'll never forget. He's gone. And I'm pregnant. But what Marina didn't know was that while she was playing for pity, I was already baiting the trap. Let me show you what happens when a man stops forgiving and starts preparing for war. I didn't answer her calls. Not after she left my shop. Not after she texted twice. Both unread, both ignored. The first said please. The second said, I didn't know. Didn't know what? That Jace would bolt? That he wasn't the kind of man who sticks around when things get messy? Or that I wasn't the same man she thought would always be waiting in the wings? Whatever pity she hoped I'd feel evaporated the moment she said pregnant, like it was a key to my forgiveness. But I wasn't playing that game. Instead, I played mine. Step 1. Find Jace. Ree was already on it. He traced burner purchases made in cash at a corner store near the docks 3 towns over. Jace wasn't heading east, like Marina thought. He was heading south, into smaller ports, untraceable routes, and cash-only motels. But the real break came from an unlikely source. Rachel's paralegal, Ellis, flagged a wire transfer made out of an account we thought had been frozen. It was disguised, hidden through a dummy contractor line item connected to a fishing vessel company. A shady one. And it had just made a large deposit into an account flagged by the U.S. Coast Guard. I called Agent Bryant. Your boy's trying to skip the country, I said. Bryant didn't miss a beat. Where? Matagorda Bay. Bryant paused. That's federal water. I smiled. Exactly. Step 2. Spring the trap. The feds set up surveillance near the dock where the flagged boat was scheduled to refuel. I didn't ask for updates. I just waited. At 3:12 p.m. the next day, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I answered. Said nothing. All I heard was breathing. Then a voice I'd nearly forgotten. Cole. It's Jace. I stood still. Not even the waves behind my shop moved louder than my own heartbeat. You're not as dumb as you act, he said. That gala stunt was cute. You trying to play white knight? Or just wanted to see her cry? I stayed silent. He sighed. Listen. You win. She's all yours. I'm out. But I need one favor. That was rich. You don't call the shots, I said. I just need a few hours head start, he said. That's it. Then I'm gone. She never hears from me again. You'll never see me. Everyone gets to move on. And then he made his mistake. She's better off without me. You know? The kid too. If it's even mine. That confirmed it. He didn't know she thought she was pregnant. Which meant he hadn't run because of that. He ran because he knew what he did. I let the silence stretch. Then I said, "Goodbye, Jace." He didn't know the feds were already listening. 3:29 p.m., Matagorda Bay. Federal agents moved in less than 20 minutes later. Jace was picked up boarding a fishing vessel under the alias Matthew Dorsey, holding a fake Panamanian passport and a waterproof satchel with 40 grand in cash. They say he tried to talk his way out of it. Didn't work. Within 48 hours, he was facing charges for wire fraud, identity theft, real estate deception, and interstate financial conspiracy. The moment Marina heard, she showed up again. She was standing on my porch when I got home. Sweater. No makeup. Again. Her hair frizzed from the humidity. "I heard," she said. "They got him." I nodded once. "Yep." She looked away. "I thought I'd feel something," she said. "Relief. Closure. I don't. I just feel stupid." I leaned against the railing. "You were used. Same as me. Difference is, I didn't sleep with my enemy." She winced. "I didn't know what he was planning, Cole. I swear to God. You knew what he was." She didn't argue. Then she opened her purse and pulled out a test. A real one this time. Positive. There was a long silence. "I got the blood test," she whispered. "It's real." I believed her. I didn't want to, but I did. "You going to keep it?" I asked. She nodded. "I think so." I rubbed my jaw. My whole world spinning again, slower, this time. No rage. Just cold calculus. "I'll do what's right," I said. "We'll get a test. If it's mine, I'll support the child." Her eyes lit, just for a second. But I stepped back. "Don't mistake that for reunion. I'm not. Don't expect me to forget. I don't." She hesitated, then asked it. "Will you ever forgive me?" I didn't flinch. "No." She nodded. "Just once." And left. No tears. No screaming. Just the sound of her shoes on the wood steps as she vanished into dusk. I stood there long after she'd gone, wondering how many men get to bury the love of their life twice. Once when they're betrayed, and once when they see her try to change. I didn't look at her when I sat down. Marina wore a muted gray dress. No jewelry. Hair down, like it used to be. She looked softer than I remembered, not from peace, but from fallout. Like someone who's been walking barefoot through the wreckage of her own decisions. The judge spoke briskly. DNA results were read into the record. Paternity excluded. Custody defaulted to Marina. No further obligation assigned to me. I nodded. Once. Marina didn't cry. She just stared at the floor. When the hearing ended, she followed me out. Caught me near the courthouse steps. "I didn't know," she said. "He said he was sterile. Said he'd had a vasectomy in college." I thought it had to be you." I shrugged. "Doesn't really matter now, does it?" She stepped closer. "I wish I could go back." I finally looked her in the eyes. The woman who'd burned my life to ash. The woman who handed it to a thief wrapped in silk and charm. The woman who brought me to my knees and thought I'd stay there. "You already went back," I said. "Now I'm going forward." You'd think after all that, I'd want revenge. More of it. Something loud. But the best revenge is vanishing from their narrative while thriving in your own. So I did 3 things. Sold everything tied to her. The last duplex, the marina-facing condo we'd once toured together, even the boat I named after her. I used the profits to open a new custom boat workshop near Port Aransas, 3 towns and 1 lifetime away. Took the trip we never did, the one to Wyoming, the Tetons, where she said she always wanted to see snowfall. I went in October. Alone. Hiked 10 miles in silence and stood on a ridge as snow came down so quietly it felt like forgiveness. Lived. The video from the gala still floats around some circles. Some call it cold. Some call it epic. Some whisper that I planned the whole thing with surgical precision. They're all wrong. I didn't plan to destroy anyone. I just refused to be the man who got destroyed. 6 months later, Reed called out of nowhere. Said Marina had moved to Austin. Low-profile job. No big social media presence. No new relationships, from what he could tell. Just a mom now. "I think she really changed," he said. I thanked him for the info. Then deleted the message. Because I didn't need it. I keep 1 photo in my new place. Not of her. Not of us. It's me, standing under a hull I built from scratch. Grease-streaked, sunburned, tired as hell. But smiling. Not because I had everything, but because I had myself. And after everything she took, that's what she never got to keep.